we'll go live after this. Hello and welcome to WCBN Sports' coverage of Michigan Wolverines baseball. This is Game 2 of a 3-game weekend series against the Bradley Braves of Illinois. A little bit of a scheduling nightmare this weekend has been so far due to college regulations, unable to play below 28 degrees Fahrenheit. Had a completely nixed yesterday's slate. The high was, I think, 22 degrees. That was the high, much lower for much of the day and evening. So they originally were planning on playing a doubleheader on Friday. Ultimately, nixed the second half of that because the weather got bad. Current plan is to play 2 today. We'll see about that. But for the time being, got 1 game ahead of us now and potentially 1 later. How are you doing, Vihan?
I'm doing good. I'm just grateful to be in the broadcasting booth given all of the scheduling changes that have been made. But thankfully the weather's permitting, and hopefully we're going to see some great Michigan baseball. Been a bit of an up and down season so far, but they are coming off a good win against Bradley on Friday. And let's just hope that we manage to secure the win in this series today.
That was perfectly put, and this Michigan team is on a bit of a hot streak of late. They won 8-4 on Friday in the one game that did happen. Then they won in a midweek game on the road against Xavier. Speaking of which, Xavier's winning big in college basketball right now over Pitt. And then they won against University Alabama Birmingham down in Georgia. They were part of a tournament hosted by Kennesaw State. Kennesaw State, on the other hand, put up a good fight, unable to win in March Madness the other night. Currently coming up to the plate is the managers on both squads, joined by the 4 umpires bundled up today. Michigan is wearing their dark blue uniforms with the maize letterings right across the chest and the small numbers on the lower left side of the front uniform. Bradley Braves in their red uniforms with black highlights and black numbers and gray pants. Reminds me a lot of the Ohio State Buckeye uniforms, one of Michigan's rivals, who will be facing off to close out this season. They do not come to Ann Arbor this year, but the Buckeyes will host the Wolverines for 3 games. It's the last 3 regular season games in May. So with that, we're moments away from the start. We got Chase Allen pitching today, joined by the standard lineup. Tito Flores notably absent today after being hit by a pitch on Friday. Ultimately stayed into base run, but pulled soon after and did not see any game time after that. Wondering if he'll get any minutes today and how serious that injury was. Drilled him right in the helmet. So no need to speculate there, but it could be a while. What do you think the key is for Michigan to win this game today and keep their win streak going and extend it to 4 games?
Well, I'd say Michigan's key is just the key to winning any good game of baseball. I guess make sure that you're consistent at the plate, and most importantly, defend your leads. Hold on to your leads. Make sure that your relievers come in time to close it out on a good note.
That's well put, and we've seen a lot of times this season Michigan just really struggling with relief, getting in good positions in the 4th, 5th, 6th inning, unable to hang on. The other key to the game that I think Michigan needs to focus on is not giving up any unforced errors. When you're playing a team like Bradley especially, at home hosting them, you want to not give them any space to come back and potentially make this game closer than it should be. We saw quite a bit of situations like that on Friday. We saw a drop third strike with an overthrow at first, which eventually scored a run. We saw some other plays. We saw a long single trying to be advanced and sent home for a very clean pickoff, which is not what you want to see, just given a free out. We saw a batter's interference, rather, which gave Michigan an out and ended potentially a rally without any outs in that inning. So that's just a few anecdotes, but I will be keeping an eye on that because it's real tough to win games when you're giving so many opportunities for the opponent to get back in it. Michigan in the all-time series against the Bradley Braves, they're 6-2 rather. Prior to this series, they were 5-2, but they won on Friday. Michigan currently supporting a 4-game winning streak dating back to 1984. Two teams prior to this series most recently faced off in 2015 as part of the regionals for the NCAA tournament. Michigan won both games, 10-5 in the first one and 4-3 to eliminate the Braves. Prior to that, they played in 1984. This is the first full series being hosted in Ann Arbor. This is a big moment for the Wolverines. They got the 2 games today, then they face off against Akron in a midweek game on the 21st. And then they begin Big Ten play. So they got Penn State next weekend to open up the conference. I guess technically they already played Michigan State, but that doesn't count towards conference standings. Face off against Illinois the following weekend, then host Nebraska. The Cornhuskers always towards the top of the Big Ten. And then your hometown team, they go on the road to Piscataway in mid-April to face Rutgers. I love how they sprinkle in midweek single games all season. As I mentioned, they got Akron coming this upcoming week, Central Michigan the following, Western the following. After that, then Butler and Toledo and Kent State. You get to see a lot of programs that normally you wouldn't see as a Michigan fan. You see Penn State, you see Ohio State, you see Michigan State all the time. You don't see those smaller programs very often.
One thing I'm noticing looking at the schedule is that things are going to get harder for Michigan in the season. There's a lot more Big Ten opponents on the clock soon.
Yes, it is. And the Big Ten is hit or miss in terms of baseball, pun intended right there. Just in terms of comparing the conference top to bottom with some of the stronger conferences in collegiate baseball, Southeastern Conference, the Pac-12 comes to mind. Those are the top cream of the crop in baseball, and it's tough for schools that it's 28 degrees in middle of March to compete against schools like Vanderbilt and Tennessee and Georgia and Alabama and all those big-time programs, and Arkansas too, and especially the West Coast teams. You look at UCLA, you look at Stanford, big-time programs. You look at Oregon and Washington. We appreciate everyone for spending their afternoon with us on WCBN Sports. We're excited to bring you some Sunday afternoon baseball, potentially up to 2 games. We'll keep you updated on whether that happens. Ryan Vogel, the junior, steps up to the plate to lead things off for the Braves. Allen on the mound. So far this season is a 5.95 ERA, hoping to bring it down with this start this afternoon. With that play ball announced, and we will begin on the mound, gunning into the pitcher, lean back, and the rock immediately lined down the foul line. That'll be strike 1 on the third base line. First pitch came out hot, 90.7 miles per hour. As we have an 0-1 count quickly into this ball game. Wind up in the pitch, swing and a miss on the outside corner. That'll be strike 2. 2 pitches, 2 strikes for Allen. Hoping to get a strikeout to lead this game off. Here's the third pitch, and this is fouled off once again out of play down the first base line into the Braves bullpen practically. And that'll keep the count at 2-2. In the batter's box and set. And this one is an inside pitch and made contact far. And that's going to hit off the right field wall as he's rounding first, going to second for Vogel. He'll be safe as he dives in with the leadoff hit. That was a blast. And for those unfamiliar with Fisher Stadium, huge wall down left field. And that nicked off the brick and stayed in play, but in many other stadiums, that would have been a touch-em-all dinger. As Chatterton comes on up, batting second in this lineup. Looking to gain some composure. So we got a runner on second and no outs here in the top of the first. Pitches in and fouled back into the net. So far, all but one pitch has been made contact. Obviously, only one put into play. But it seems like the Braves are having no trouble so far connecting with Allen's heat. So we get another foul ball right there, and it's going to bring up a quick 0-2 count. I don't know if this is exactly the stat you want with a runner on second and no outs, but yet to throw a single ball. So for better or for worse, he's hitting the zone. Leg lift in the throw, and this one is chopped down the first base line, and it barely stays in play, and that'll be a hit. Infield single. You got to let that one go. Hit hard off the ground, high up into the air, and it was drifting foul, and touching it at the last moment is a pitcher, Allen. And I am curious how they rule that, of whether it's going to be an error or a hit. I can't imagine they give that an error because there was no immediate error. But regardless, we now have runners on the corners, just 90 feet away from breaking this game open without a single out.
And you have to notice, when looking at Allen's pitches, he just seems to be throwing it straight. I mean, the power is there, but at the same time, it's not necessarily in a fashion that could result in strikeouts. He seems to be just throwing straight down the middle. And
yeah, and he's throwing the heat. He's hit 90. That last one was 83, so a little bit softer. So it has a lot of pop, as we saw with the leadoff hit by Vogel. Here's the pitch and another contact. We've only seen one ball swung and whiffed, or one in every strike. There hasn't been a single taken pitch this game, and that one's going to be strike 1 as it's fouled off down in the parking lot on the first base side. Finally, we get a pitch taken, and that's going to be a called strike right down the pipe, a little bit low. But gets the nod from the home plate umpire, Corey Hingoa. 0-2 count. We've seen this before for the previous 2 batters as we got the windup in the pitch, and that one's going to be high and outside for the first ball of the game. For an update, they're going to call that an error on that last hit. I guess it isn't a hit. And the error is on the pitcher. So on Allen, but only credited with 1 hit so far. It's an interesting thing because it's not an earned run, even if the error is on yourself defensively. So you could maybe help your ERA but hurt your fielding percentage.
And now we have Pete Hansen on the plate, number 27. And he will make contact.
Made contact to the third baseman. Run is scored, but will get the out at first as Chatterton advances to second and Vogel advances home. A little bit of a check down by Voigt, but not stopping anyone. Even playing in, unable to really contain it. And with that, Bradley takes the first lead of this game, 1-0, with 1 out here in the top of the first inning. Next up, Delgado. And that will be a ball inside and low for the catcher. Pitch 2, very similar spot, but this one's ruled a strike. Going to even up the count at 1 ball, 1 strike, and 1 out with 1 runner on second base. 180 feet away from the plate. Swing and a miss, gunning for the fences right there. And that's going to be the biggest whiff we've probably seen all afternoon so far.
I think to an extent Bradley has been playing its hits relatively safe as well.
They're not going by the traditional mantra to kind of observe a pitcher and take a couple pitches and just see it. As we get another ball in there to make it 2-2 now. Traditionally, that's what you see, especially with a new team facing a new pitcher. They're coming out swinging. Wind up in the pitch. This one's going to be low and inside for ball 3. Full count at the moment. Three balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Runner on second, unlikely to run on the pitch. And here it is, and it's fouled into the backstop. Got a pretty decent crowd for a Sunday game, especially with today's weather. Got a couple of little leagues came on out. Matching uniforms, you love to see that. Allen steps off the rubber, adjusts his glove for a moment, back on as he gets set. Looking back, here's a windup in the pitch. Right down the middle for a called strike 3. That'll send him back to the dugout for the second out of the inning. And Allen is very close to getting his first out of this first inning with only 1 run of damage. Connor O'Brien steps on in. The distinction, he had the golden sombrero on Friday. And first pitch, he does not wait. Blasts a towering hit to center. Getting under its Kim, makes the grab, ends the inning. So there you have it. 1 hit, 1 run, and 1 runner left on base with 1 error committed by Michigan. So we head into the middle of the first, and the Wolverines have their work cut out for them. We appreciate everyone for spending their afternoon with us at WCBN Sports. We're very proud to bring you this coverage of Michigan baseball for free and without any commercials, supporting student radio all across the athletic department for the Wolverines. Very proud. Big weekend for the Wolverines. Had a huge win for the women's basketball team on Friday, and they play again against the LSU Tigers this afternoon down in Baton Rouge. So it's a home game for the Tigers. Wolverines looking to advance into the Sweet 16 rather for the 3rd straight season. Did it the past 2 after some really excellent play, mainly from Naz Hillman. Tough to replicate, but Coach Kim Barnes-Arico did enough to get them a 6th seed. They were on the cusp of hosting and fell off towards the end of the season. hoping to make a run now. Men's team not as fortunate. Had the game locked up in Nashville on the road in the NIT yesterday. Unable to finish, gave up 9 unanswered points in the final minute and 5 seconds of play. Not what you want to see from any team, especially a team up 8. It was an absolute meltdown, and it raises some question about Coach Shawan Howard's future on this team. And then finally, the biggest win for the Wolverines this weekend. On the road in Minneapolis at the 3M Center, Michigan defeated the Golden Gophers by a score of 4-3 and won their second straight Big Ten tournament title and locks up a 1 seed in the Frozen Four bracket. We'll be covering those games regardless of where it is. It's looking like Allentown's most likely, but a chance at Manchester, New Hampshire, too. Jeffress steps into the plate, leadoff hitter. He has 16 hits on this short season, only 1 month of play so far. Throw in 5 walks in there, and he also has 14 RBIs as we go to the bottom of the first inning. Travis Lutz on the mound. Wind up in a pitch, and that's going to be a called strike, barely grazing the outside corner of the strike zone. Jeffress behind quickly with an 0-1 count. Back on the mound and set, and that's going to be a ball, leaving it up the count at 1-1. Jeffress in the box, winding up, and here's the pitch, and he'll let that one go well outside. 2-1 count. Last pitch was 80.5 miles per hour. A lot slower than Allen on the other side of the mound. Another ball thrown in low. Barely misses. It's going to be a 3-1 count. Michigan 1 pitch away from a leadoff base runner. Senior reaching base would be huge. And this one's right down the pipe. He's probably wishing he had that one back. Bat doesn't even flinch off his shoulder. Count's going to be full with no outs now. Here's the payoff pitch, and that's going to be ball 4. Looks like it might have grazed the zone, but catcher unable to hang on to it. So regardless, it would have been a drop third strike. So he easily trots to first base with a leadoff walk for Jeffress. And Sotris comes on up, batting .250 on the season. Has some pop in his bat, 3 home runs and 4 RBIs. Jeffress, 3 stolen bases this season and 12 runs scored. Has yet to even be caught on the base path. First pitch is drilled deep into right center. Getting under it is Husman, and able to make the grab for the first out of this first inning for the Wolverines. Michigan's being aggressive. They're swinging for the pitches. That last one looked like it might find the gap, but it just had too much under it, and the wind blowing from right to left was able to give it some hang time and allow Houseman to get under it. Stepping up to the plate, the star and the leader of the team, Ted Burden. 2 home runs and 8 RBIs on this season with 16 hits. Does have quite a few strikeouts, 21 so far on the season. Makes contact on that second pitch, towering to deep center onto the warning track, getting under it, and makes a grab. And that'll be out number 2 as Vogel, with his back almost to the fence, able to hang on to it. If the wind were blowing the other way, I think it might be a 2-1 ball game right now. Alas, it is not, and Michigan quickly has 2 outs with only 1 base runner. Longo steps up to the plate.
The team's leader in batting average on the season, batting a respectable .314 alongside 1 home run and 6 RBI.
And Longo is definitely the type of guy you want in this cleanup spot. Gets on base, advances the runners. Michigan quickly with a base runner, but quickly surrenders 2 outs following that. So we got a 1-1 count with it fouled off down the third base line. Longo, number 23. Trying to keep this inning alive and potentially even it up or take the lead for the Wolverines. Michigan's had no trouble hitting Lutz on the mound. This pitch is high and outside, going to make it a 2-1 count. 2-1 count with 2 outs and a runner on first. Jeffress advanced on the walk and hasn't been able to move since. A lot of contact, but both flyouts. No chance at any sacrifice. And we have a stolen base attempt. Got a pretty okay jump, and he'll be in safe with an errant throw from the catcher. And that'll give Jeffress his 4th stolen base of the season. So we have a 3-1 count. Adam Bryan gunned it down, but it was a little bit too high. Shortstop able to corral it without it getting to the outfield, but the runner was safe by quite a mile. 3-1 count. Longo, here's a pitch, makes contact and fouls it off beyond the press box. And that'll make it full. 3 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs here in the bottom of the first inning. A runner in scoring position for the first time today for the Wolverines. Michigan yet to even get a single hit on this game. And this one is popped up high and is trending foul, and it will go out of play right onto the overhang above the grandstands. Interesting setup they have here. The first 9 or 10 rows of the grandstands are just straight benches, and then you have actual seats higher up. Wilpon put a ton of money into this, the former owner of the New York Mets and proud Michigan alum. Payoff pitch is in, and this one is fouled off once again, going out of play, this time down the third base side. Got a whole gaggle of little leaguers chasing after the foul ball. Looks like it's got to stay on the roof, however. See the disappointed looks on their faces.
I think we've all been there in MLB stadiums and other baseball games hoping that ball would come down for one of us to catch.
Yes, certainly. It's fun to see young players, the future of the game, enjoying a Sunday afternoon. So we get a pitch, and it's hit up right the middle, and that'll be a base hit. Rounding third is Jeffress, and he'll come in standing up at home. We have a tie ball game. Longo with a full count lines it right up the middle. Nothing the Braves defense could do to stop that, and he gets an RBI single with 2 outs here in the bottom of the first.
And I just think that was a really well-hit ball. Maybe not necessarily incredibly powerful, but he played it relatively safe, got the ball where it needed to be, and now you have a tied ball game at the bottom of the first, which is a good position for Michigan to be in.
Almost certainly. You'd love to have the lead in the bottom of the first. And here we have Flores actually coming in after yesterday's hit by pitch. Will be in the lineup. Or not yesterday, Friday rather. We get ball 1 on the first pitch thrown. Batting a little bit lower in the lineup than he has been. 1 ball, no strikes, 2 outs. Taking a pretty strong lead on first base. And that'll be a called strike right there. Longo, not exactly the most stellar base runner as a cleanup hitter. He has 1 stolen base attempt, and he was caught that one time. So not a great look on the base path. Maybe he'll look to change it. This one is swung on and made contact foul down the third base line. Going to increase the count to 1-2 with 2 outs now. It is sunny out, barely a cloud in sight. Doesn't help with the temperature, however. I'm sure the players are just glad they were able to get this game in. So we get a wind up and a pitch, and this is right to the second baseman. He'll underhand flip it over to the shortstop and end this first inning with it being tied up. There you have it. 1 run, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on base. And that will bring us through 1 frame, tied at 1 apiece. Wolverines and the Braves here in Game 2 of this 3-game weekend series.
I think the Wolverines definitely took their time to sort of grow into the game, which I think it's good to get a feel for the game, because you noticed earlier a string of strikeouts, a string of no hits, and then once you get Longo on plate, things definitely turn up. And I think I chalk that down to them being patient, feeling out the game, as opposed to, Adam, what you said about Bradley being right off the bat coming out swinging. And they're both different approaches to the game, and I think they both have shown to work, as is proven by the fact that the game is currently tied.
Yeah, they're different strategies. I definitely see why Bradley's deferring to what they're doing, especially being the road team with such an odd weekend schedule. You don't get the routine that you get in a normal 3-game series. You got to mix things up, especially against a very vulnerable pitcher in Allen. He has seen better outings this season.
I think his power is not necessarily the issue, but I do think he's throwing it a little too straight.
Yeah, that's a good piece of insight there, too. Just the speed isn't always a limiting factor if you're right down the pipe and allowing them to make contact. And we saw so much contact in that first inning from Bradley. As Easton Harris steps up to the plate, the freshman with no outs. Once again, fouled off once again. We have 1 strike and no balls here in the top of the second. Tie ball game. Easton Harris looking to get on early. Another foul pitch. This one popped into the parking lot down the first base side. 0-2 count early. Getting set, the leg lift and the throw. This one's going to be low for a ball. 1-2 count. Here in the top of the second with no outs. Here's the pitch, and that's going to be a called strike. Looked like it might be a bit low. Umpire didn't think so, and we got the second strikeout of the game for Allen. Allen has had no trouble finding the strikeouts this season. He has 24 so far, and that's in 21 innings pitched. Pretty efficient. He got Husman up to the plate. The junior right fielder. So he takes the first pitch for a strike. 0-1 count with 1 out here. The windup and the pitch, going to be high, but called a strike. Finds the outside top corner to make this quickly 0-2, and it looks like Allen is in his groove after the last batter and a half. And here's the pitch. Going to be way too high this time. Catcher has to jump on up just to stop it. 1-2 count with 1 out right now.
And I think when you look at Allen's ERA, when you combine that with his strikeouts, that shows you that he's definitely a pitcher who seems to go more for flat. He's a pitcher who's go big or go home.
Yeah, exactly. And so far it's been mixed success. Only 1 hit, but also scored a run. And we get it put into play down the third base line, bobbles it. And let's see, I think he'll be out. An errant throw, but it was very fortunate. Van Remortel able to wrangle it in. And although he didn't touch the bag, he did tag him out. Dangerous play, not what you want to do, but it paid out this time. Very lucky, saving Voigt from potentially 2 errors there. He juggled the ball at first, able to wrangle it in. When he threw it, he was uncomposed, and fortunately for the Wolverines, they secured the out. First pitch for Adam Bryan, sends it deep to center, and that's going to be a fly out to Kim. Moving back onto the track, makes the catch. And that'll do it. 3 quick outs. And Michigan gets out of this inning with no runs, no hits, no errors, and no runners left on base as they come up to the plate for the second time.
Like I said, Michigan definitely feels like they're going into the game. That was a great outing from Allen right there. Got 3 quick outs, and let's see what these bats can do as they step back on the plate.
Yeah, Michigan had no trouble making contact last inning. They got the big hit right up the middle, which scored the run. 2 deep blasts to the outfield that were eventually wrangled on in. Velazquez steps to the plate. Notable being the senior lefty. He plays both ways in terms of baseball and football. Kind of a Deion Sanders-esque player, a Bo Jackson-esque player. You don't see that too often anymore. He was honored earlier this season for Senior Day on the football field in the Big House just across the way from Fisher Stadium. Will be honored as a baseball player as well. I am in awe of that commitment. To be able to put yourself on the line for not 1 but 2 varsity teams. And that was one of the reasons why he chose Ann Arbor. They promised him the ability to do both. Play baseball and football, living out your dreams. So many of these guys, they played both in high school, but you almost never see that continue into college, especially a program like Michigan. Just takes a ton of commitment.
Yeah, I struggle to get myself into the gym at times, and then you have these guys playing 2 sports at an extremely high level. Got to hand it to them.
Oh, certainly. Velazquez batting only 150 this season. Not a ton of at-bats. He has 40 at-bats. First pitch is in for a ball. 1-0 count early here in the bottom of the second inning. Got some contact made, foul that's going to even it up at 1-1 with no outs. We got Velazquez, Voigt, and then Van Remortel, and if necessary, the 9-hitter Kim. Kim, the freshman, has been batting incredible this season, over 500. I know it's early in the season. We'll keep an eye on that when he comes up later. As we get another ball, 2-1 count for Velazquez. Leg lift in the throw. Contact made over the net, but foul, and it hits off Yost. They have these big nets on the windows. I imagine those came in after an incident at this stadium. Usually that's how it goes here. 2-2 count for Velazquez. Here's the pitch. Outside just barely. I think Velazquez is very relieved he was not rung up there, and it gives up a full count right now. 3-2 with no outs. Leg lift, thrown, made contact, finds the gap, and that'll be a single for Velazquez. 7th hit of the season. Leadoff single for the Wolverines to open up the bottom of the second. He waited for his pitch, made contact when he could, took what he could, and finally found the gap in between the first and second baseman as it dribbled into the right field, and he was safe on first. I'm going to take a hunch and say we won't be seeing Velazquez stealing on this base path. Not exactly the fastest guy on the team. So we get Mitch Voigt stepping up, showing bunt, and he actually tips it foul for the first strike. We saw a lot of shown bunts on Friday's game. Wonder if that's something Coach Smith is really trying to develop early in this season. Showing bunt once again for Voigt. Pulls it back at the last moment, gets away from the catcher. And that'll be a wild pitch, advancing Velazquez to second. Force is removed with no outs here and 1 ball and 1 strike. It's tough as a pitcher when you see batters show a bunt. Really a mind game right there. And no longer showing bunt. He makes contact. Bloop hit into shallow left, sending him home. Risky play. He's in and safe. Scoring all the way from second. Got a great jump on that bloop hit to left. And Voigt had an RBI for the freshman. It's going to be 2-1 Wolverines. That's how you manufacture runs. I love to see it.
Easily Michigan's most aesthetically pleasing play of the game so far. Just so well executed. And to add the way that run was perfectly timed, got there just in time.
Makes me question why he was even showing bunt in the first place if he was able to make a hit like that on his first swing after showing bunt. Van Remortel steps up to the plate. Senior first baseman, batting .278 so far. Now he's showing bunt, and he lays it down perfectly. Advances a runner to second. Quickly thrown out at first for the first out of this bottom of the second. Did his job, advance a runner to second base. So we have Jonathan Kim, and I was raving about him earlier. He's been incredible. Batting ninth for the freshman. .529 on the season. Granted, only 17 at-bats, but he just looked incredible on Friday, putting up 4 hits. And he, all the statistics show him being great. Odd shift being employed here, and this was a check swing, probably wishes he couldn't do it. Gonna try and gut it out, and he'll be safe. Wow. Showing his speed for the 9-hitter, and he essentially secures a run, a hit, rather, out of nothing. That was a bloop hit. He checked his swing, and the catcher just couldn't gun him out in time. And we get Jeffress up to the plate with 2 runners on and 1 out. So now we got 2 runners on base. That'll be Kim's 10th hit of the season. Want to make sure they rule it as a hit. I imagine they will. Can't imagine that's an error. Here's the pitch. Swung on, fouled for Jeffress. Jeffress walked to lead off this game and eventually scored for the first run for the Wolverines. Runners on first and second with 2 outs now. Got some speed on the base path. And that one's fouled down the third base line, hits the net by the Wolverine bullpen. Obviously, no one warming up there quite yet, only in the bottom of the second. Intrigued to see what the Wolverines do with their relief pitchers with a doubleheader today and a game on Tuesday. Ideally, the manager, Smith, will not want to be going to the bullpen very soon. As we get a hit into left, getting under it is Chatterton, makes a fly out. That'll be out number 2. Sending Jeffress back to the dugout, and Sotris is up. Deep fly out to right in the first inning today, batting .245 on the season with 3 home runs. 4 RBIs on the season, too. Probably looking to add to that with a runner on second here. Pitches in, going to be a called strike in the top right corner of the strike zone. Update on earlier, I could officially confirm that was ruled a hit for Kim. Single to the pitcher is what it is ruled as in this stat book. Grounder to third, takes a step. It'll be close, but he has him at first. Out number 3 for Sotres. Almost gunned it out as Easton Harris bobbled it for a moment, able to get composed. And in the inning, there you have it. 1 run, 3 hits, no errors, and 2 runners left on base for the Wolverines in the bottom of this second inning. 2
innings in, and I think we're slightly starting to see the Wolverines game crystallize a bit. You know, They're spending a lot more time at the plate, I think, and they're spending less time on the mound. And Allen's last outing was quite promising. I think his pitching is starting to combine more accuracy with the speed, and I'm curious to see how it develops over the course of this game.
Same with me. And Michigan is in the position they want to be. Obviously, more runs are better, but after surrendering a quick run, got things under control in the top of the second, and then retook the lead. I guess took the lead for the first time in the bottom of the inning. As we go to the top of the third here in Ann Arbor. It is quite the chilly day here in Ann Arbor. Pulling up the weather app right now to give a report. My app says 35. Believe me, it feels much colder. Feels like 25. And technically the rule is they should not play under feels like 28. That is only for conference play in the Big Ten. So this is an out-of-conference game. So those rules are more of a guideline. I feel like after the Braves traveled all this way and stayed here all weekend, they'll suck it up and play. And same with the Wolverines. They want to get some reps in before starting Big Ten play next weekend. The feels like is supposed to get a little bit higher later in the day. Peak at feels like 29, so still very balmy, but a little bit better. The high of the day is 38 degrees and just a standard temperature. I'm very excited. Supposed to get up into the 50s and low 60s earlier this week in Ann Arbor, or later this week rather. Van Tuthel comes on up. First pitch, towering hit to deep center. Kim gets under it, makes the grab. One pitch, one out here in the top of the third. Vogel comes on up, second time today. Had a double to lead off the game, off the left field brick wall with the retired numbers. Ooh, and we got a swing, and it looks like it hit off his leg, and he goes down. Going to be a dead ball. Let's see if he's able to get up. He does, and he's headed straight to the dugout. I wonder if they'll bring in a pinch hitter. He does not look too good. Okay, starting to walk it off now, and looks like he's returning to the box. Those could really sting. I remember from my limited time playing baseball in Little League in high school. When I would do that on occasion, it took the wind out of me and really stings. But looks like he'll stay on in as a manager, and one of the trainers comes and chats with him. And just like that, he grabs his bat and is back in the right-handed batter's box. Talk about resilience.
You gotta admire these guys for having such a professional outlook to this game.
Certainly.
Especially playing in such cold.
Second pitch inside. That's got to be rough. I'm sure it wasn't intentional, but that barely missed him. So after fouling it off himself, we got a ball well inside to even it up 1-1. Next pitch is in. That's going to be high and away for ball 2. Allen has 2 strikeouts on this game. Leg lift in the throw. Swing and line down the third base line, and that's going to be foul. Had the distance if it was fair. It's going to even up the count at 2-2 with 1 out now. And that's right up the middle, and that will be a single. So 2 hits for the day for the leadoff Vogel. Shaking off the apparent injury, and he jogs on over to first. Jackson Chatterton steps on up. Reached on the error, eventually stranded at first. That error was on the pitcher, Allen himself. Pitches in outside for ball one. 1 out, 1 runner on. This is exactly what the first inning looked like. We get a called strike, 1-1 count. One ball, 1 strike, and 1 out right here. Dancing on the base path, showing no long-term effects from the injury, is Vogel. And we get another called strike right down the middle. Last pitch, 89 miles per hour. Drew Chatterton wishes he could have that one back. Pickoff attempt, safe by a mile, just keeping him honest. One ball, 2 strikes, 1 out, with a runner on first, and a second straight pickoff attempt. This is where it gets tricky, where the base runners get in the head of the pitcher. Third straight pickoff attempt, trying to catch him snoozing. He was barely off the bag. Had maybe a step or 2 away, and he instantly got back. 1 ball, 2 strikes. You're 1 pitch away from bringing up the 3rd out, and we have a 4th straight pickoff attempt. I'm wondering if Allen maybe read the opponent's signs and is knowing he's going to steal. 4 straight pickoff attempts with 2 strikes. He's not even taking that egregious of a lead. Pitches in outside 2-2, and as expected, Vogel did not even attempt to steal, just took a little bit of a delayed lead. And this one is fouled down the third base line, made contact out of play into the bullpen. Still no Wolverines warming up, but we do have some youngsters from the local Little League team hanging out in the bullpen. Two-two count with the runner on first, and he's dancing. Allen, the righty, guns in, and we get a dribbler to second. Not enough speed to turn 2, but flips it over from Burden to Van Remortel for the out. That'll bring up 2, but advance the runner. Vogel now in scoring position in the top of the 3rd. Hansen steps on up to the plate. The right-hander looking to bring in a run. Vogel in scoring position. Pitches in. A beaut. 82 miles per hour on the outside end of the plate. Caught him swinging. Chasing it. Oh, 1 count for Hansen. This ball is in. Evens it up 1-1 with 2 outs now. Allen's not quite hitting the speed that he did in the first inning. Been averaging around the mid-80s on each pitch. Rocketed down the line, and it's going to be fouled just barely on the third base side. That would have easily scored the run if it were a foot or 2 to the right. Left fielder Flores was in the position to gun it, but that's the tricky play. Just frozen rope right down the line. There's not a ton you could do to stop a guy scoring from second. Fortunately for the Wolverines, it was ruled foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes. High pitch, jumping up to grab it is Sotres. 2-2 with 2 outs now. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Pitch is high, towering down the first base line. Getting under his Van Remortel. Brings it home for the 3rd out of the inning. And there you have it. 1 hit, no runs, 1 runner left on base, and no errors as we go into the bottom of the inning. Here in Ann Arbor, Wolverines maintain their lead. 2-1, Michigan.
Allen's pitched a few very safe, very well pitched couple of outings. Now it's time for the Wolverines to capitalize. Hopefully score another run like that gorgeous playoff Van Remortel just last out.
Indeed. Update from NCAA. Xavier is well on their way to advancing to the Sweet 16. Currently leading 68-52 over Pitt. Got the Musketeers advancing very far in my bracket, so I love to see it. But my bracket's already busted. I had Virginia going far. I had Kansas going far. I don't even want to think about it anymore.
Shout out to the Jersey teams, my home state. Princeton and FDU making some big moves to go with St. Peter's magical run last time around.
Indeed, and I was pulling for the Knights. Not a fan of the Boilermakers. Glad to see them lose. We have a chance, and it's not secured yet, but it's possible that not a single Big Ten team advances to the Sweet 16, advances out of the first weekend, which really just adds fuel to the fire that the conference is good on paper, but they just beat each other up, and when you add other competition, they're not particularly great. And when you see the undisputed regular season and tournament champ fall to a team that didn't even win their conference and is the shortest team in college basketball, that does make you wonder if the Big Ten's a bit overrated. Burden steps into the box for the Wolverines to lead off the bottom of the 3rd inning. Burden hit a fly out in his first at-bat in the 1st inning to center field. 1 ball, 1 strike. Burden looking to get things going. Wind up in the throw. Chopper down the 3rd base line. No trouble getting it is Harris. Throws it to first for the quick out here in the bottom of the 3rd. Longo, the designated hitter, steps on in. 1 for 1 on the day with the first base single. And it was an RBI, too. Just right up the middle. Almost hit the bag. It was so right up the middle. Swings on the first pitch. Chop fouled on the 3rd base line. Longo looking to jumpstart this rally. Michigan so far has gotten a run in each of their innings. We got a blast. This could go. Doesn't even look at it for the left fielder. Over the brick wall, and that's a home run. 2nd of the season for Longo. He'll touch them all. Chatterton did not even look back or look up. He knew it from the crack of the bat. Over that left field wall with the retired numbers on it. And there you go. I feel like I had the sportscaster jinx. I said Michigan had scored in the first 2 innings. Could they keep it up in the 3rd? And yes, they can. 3-1 Wolverines with 1 out as Tito Flores steps in.
Joe Longo quietly building for himself a great stat line on the season. His average is now up to a .351, and he is on 2 homers and 8 RBI.
Ooh, pitches in, and it hits off him. Is that going to be hit by pitch? I think it may have grazed his bat. So not going to rule him first. And I don't even think it hit his bat. They said it was just a ball. Thought that hit him. Second pitch inside for 2-0 for Flores. Flores with the hit by pitch on Friday right into the dome. Avoiding that one to have a 2-0 count early. Third pitch is in, ball 3. Flores is one pitch away from taking first base without even moving his bat. 3-0, 1 out. Flores looking to follow up that big blast moments ago, and we get a called strike right down the middle. Here's a pitch, and that'll be ball 4 low. And Flores will take first base. Velazquez comes on up after the single in the second inning to lead off and eventually scoring. And we already are going to have a mound visit. This is not what you want to see early in a doubleheader. I doubt they'll make a change, see no movement in the pen. We're just getting composed.
As we close out the third, Michigan are finally in the position that you're looking for, with Joe Longo looking to be especially vital in this victory, well, not a victory, but a early good lead. Jonathan Kim also out there with a couple of great plays. Remains to be seen if the Wolverines can hold on to this lead, but 3-1 at the bottom of the third. Solid start.
It is a solid start. Velazquez with that hit down the first base line in between first and second base. And that'll conclude the mound visit without any change. The home plate umpire checking in and making sure to keep the show on the road, especially with the doubleheader. Looking up Velazquez's football stats. Had a huge game against Nebraska this past year. Included 2 tackles. Plays in both special teams and linebackers on the team. Get a pitch in, swing and a miss. They're going to say a foul tip, actually, but regardless, it'll be a strike. 0-1 count with 1 out and a runner on first. Leg lift in the throw, and that's well outside for Lutz. Trying to get composed. He has 2 walks given up and 3 earned runs. All 3 runs were earned. Already up to 48 pitches. Not what you want to see in this game. We got a hit and run, and it's lined foul, so it'll send the runner back to first. Flores only 1 stolen base attempt, and it was successful this season so far. Inches down the baseline, and a pickoff attempt from Lutz. Well behind him, he safely dives into the bag.
Will we see another set of 4 straight pickoff attempts?
I find that unlikely, but we'll keep you updated. That was truly something from Allen. We do have a second one right here, and it gets loose. Doesn't go anywhere, though, so he'll stay at first. Flores is not known to be much of a base runner. He only has 1 stolen base attempt this season. And he's not taking a particularly egregious lead either. I just don't get it. Now fires home, and that's a swing and a miss. And that'll be strike 3. That's what I don't get. You get a hitter batting 171 at the plate with 2 strikes, and you're focused on the runner on second. I know they pulled off that hit and run, but is that really what you should be doing with 2 strikes? Regardless, that brings up Voigt with 2 outs now and a runner still on first. First ball put into play, and it'll land in left field for a hit. Rounding second, but ultimately staying there is Flores. And we get a 2-out hit, which brings up Van Remortel. Michigan already with 6 hits in 3 innings, not even 3 full, 2 2/3. Van Remortel had a bunt. Doesn't count as an at-bat because it did advance a runner, but he was thrown out in his first at-bat in the 2nd inning. Pitch is going to be an in but high for a ball. One ball, no strikes, 2 outs with 2 runners on. Force at any square base. And this one is lined into left, right to the outfielder, Chatterton. Grabs it, and that'll do it here from the 3rd inning. 1 run, 2 hits, no errors, and 2 runners left on base. Wolverines leaving quite a few. But put up a run thanks to that big blast over the left field wall by Longo.
Bradley have not spent a lot of time at bat since the 1st inning, and if you're a Bradley fan, that's not what you want to see. And Allen has pitched so far quite a good game. His pitching has definitely improved since his earlier innings, which, as I said earlier, he had the power, but not necessarily the accuracy. He was throwing it a little too down the middle, but thankfully he's improved. And Bradley have just not been able to catch a break at bat. And it remains to be seen, will they adjust? Will maybe they pull out one of their starters was looking like it was on the cards with that early mound visit. Remains to be seen in the first half of this doubleheader.
Sure does. We had a trike race. Just like a tricycle. Couple of the little leaguers down by the Michigan bullpen competed.
You got to wonder, will we see some of these little leaguers on this mound in 10, 15 years?
I would not be surprised. And imagine Michigan does baseball summer camps, too, and they play on these fields. I imagine many of them will be entering that over the coming years, too.
Who knows? Maybe they'll be on the mound at Tiger Stadium someday.
Yeah. Over at Commentator, right down the road. A lot of connection between this Wolverines program and the Tigers. A lot of continuity.
As we mentioned earlier, pretty good atmosphere for a cold Sunday, you know.
Yeah, good turnout. Probably 150 people here if I had to estimate. Delgado steps on up for the 2nd time today. Fouls the first pitch down the 3rd base line. Well out of play. Appreciate everyone for spending their Sunday afternoon with us on WCBN Sports Radio. Wind up and the pitch from Allen. Swing and a miss. 0-2 count. We got a lot of fun stuff planned on WCBN coming up soon. Next weekend, we'll be going to wherever the Frozen Four takes a hockey team. We believe Allentown at this moment. Pitch is in high and outside, 1-2.
We've got quite the busy spring slate to close out what has been yet another eventful year of Michigan athletics. And be sure to tune into the Daily Sports Report every day, 6 to 6:30, Monday through Thursday.
You got it. Love the promotion right there as we get a ball low and outside for ball 2. Evens up the count at 2 apiece. It's getting quite nippy in this press box. I might have to put my gloves on. Got a window open to crack for the listeners so you could hear the ambience here. But I might have to bundle up a bit as we get ball 3, making the count full. 3-2 with no outs for Delgado. 2 quick strikes followed by 3 straight balls. Here's a payoff pitch well outside. He'll take first base. First walk surrendered by Allen all game. Does not give up a ton of walks. Prior to this, he only had 9 walks all season in 20 innings pitch. Connor O'Brien steps on up. Fly out to center field deep onto the warning track, and he makes contact once again, this time foul beyond the home plate backstop.
That landed somewhere in the parking lot. Hopefully someone's car alarms were not set off.
Not hearing anything yet, but it's always a danger to park here on game days. Same exact spot, fouled off, making it 0-2 for Connor O'Brien.
Neither side has necessarily had issue having contact, as we've made it clear throughout this game, but just the accuracy is hit and miss, pun intended.
Indeed. Allen at 52 pitches already, and this is going to be a grounder into the gap between short and third. Will take a single, and O'Brien gets a hit with no outs, but 2 runners on for the Braves. Easton Harris comes up now with 2 runners on, including 1 in scoring position. Had a strikeout looking, and he lays down a bunt. Will throw to third. That's a risky play. Gets out the lead runner just barely. Real gutsy move by the pitcher, Allen. The bunt was right to his feet. Could have gotten the easy out at first. Opted to go for the lead runner, and that'll send Delgado back to the dugout, but give Harris a fielder's choice. That'll bring up 1 out here in the top of the 4th inning with Hussman up. He had a ground out to third baseman, just barely got out. A pretty acrobatic play in the 2nd inning. Michigan at double play depth, looking to turn 2, especially up the middle. And this one is rocketed right to center, not even moving. We have Kim making the grab, and we got 2 outs right there.
Had to put on the old North Face puffer. It is getting quite chilly up in this press box.
Yeah. We'll see if it keeps getting chilly. We might have to remove the Nats mic and close this window. But I think for now we'll brave through it as Adam Bryan steps up with 2 outs.
It's just what WCBN does, you know.
Fly out to center in his first at-bat. First pitch is fouled. That'll be strike 1 down the third base line into the Michigan bullpen. Such a fun complex here. They got all the sports just right on top of each other. You got baseball looking into the softball pitch. Yost is right here. Big House and Chrysler off in the distance. We get the next pitch, and this is a bloop fly right to short. Calling for it is Jeffress. Hanging on. That was a little bit of a risky play, a little bit of miscommunication, but hangs on, ends the inning right there. And we have no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 2 runners left on base.
Really not much to say about that 4th inning. Or that 3rd inning, sorry. Fourth inning. My apologies. Not a lot going on. We'll have to see if something will change in the final third as we move on towards nearly the halfway point of this game. You got any thoughts as we're at halfway
Michigan's doing what they need to do. They're putting up the runs. It's not a ton. They're doing it piece by piece, chunk by chunk. But they're making it count.
They've been patient today. They've excelled at making contact. Has the accuracy always been there? Not necessarily, but they're scoring runs when they need to score runs. The infielders are making moves when they need to make moves, and I suppose that's just what you want to see. Once again, thank you all for staying with us on your Sunday afternoon as we bring you what will hopefully be a successful day for Michigan baseball.
I agree. So far, it's looking pretty successful. We got the Wolverines leading 3-1 after surrendering a run in the top of the first. They've been lights out on defense while managing to secure a run in each inning so far. So here we go to the bottom of the 4th, looking to keep that streak alive where they have 1 run in each inning so far. I jinxed it last inning immediately after saying that. Longo threw hit a big blast deep into left field. We got the brick wall in left with the various retired numbers. Famous names. We got Ray Fisher, for whom the stadium is named. Number 44 retired. We got Abbott, the famous pitcher for the Yankees. Truly a inspiration in adversity and athletic excellence.
Go Yankees.
He had I believe it was a no-hitter. Is his big career highlight for the Yankees, and he played for the Angels too. So we got Kim stepping up, batting .556, 1 for 1 on the day, and he had 4 hits the other day on Friday. Also retired number Moby Benedict, the longtime coach, and he did pass away last year. But he was with this team for 30 years, both of their national titles as a player and then later a coach. Then he worked in the IM building as well in the rec sports department. So truly an institution at this university. 1-1 count here for Kim. You're saying he went. Is that going to be strike 2? Yes, it will. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Kim quickly behind as he leads off this 4th inning.
And Kim doesn't have a ton of at-bats, but still, to bat .556 as a freshman is insane.
Yeah, not a ton at bats, but he's hot and he has a lot of promise. And there you have it. He gets out, swing and a miss.
Shows you his average definitely shows you that he makes it count when he has opportunities, and I'm sure he'll get more opportunities as these next 4 years progress.
Jeffress comes on up. 3rd at bat today. He had a walk and eventually scored for a run, and then a fly out to left field. We got 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th. Michigan cruising right along. Called strike right there. 0-1 count to lead off the leadoff hitter. Let's still in here with 60 pitches, and we get a called strike once again. 2 strikes, no balls, and 1 out. Jeffress is going to have to move the bat from his shoulder. And he makes contact. Will it land? Getting under it and successfully grabbing on the run is Vogel. Getting the 2nd out of this inning. It looked like it might find from real estate in the outfield. But the wind was trying to do its best to take away from the center fielder. So that was shot in left center. But proving himself faster than the wind, center fielder Ryan Vogel on the run grabs it without missing a beat to bring up Sotres with 2 outs. Swing and a miss for strike 1. Stepping out of the box for a moment, adjusting. Leg lift in the throw. That's going to be a called ball low. 1-1 count with 2 outs here. Sotra is 0 for 2 on the day. Looking to change his fortunes. He had a fly out to right and a ground out to 3rd. Here's the pitch, and that's going to be a called strike for strike 2. 1-2 count. Barely grazing the top right corner of the strike zone. Leg lift in the throw. They're going to call that a foul tip. That'll be strike 3. And Michigan 3 up, 3 down for the first time in the game. And first inning without a single run. No hits, no runs, no errors, and no runners left on base. As we end this 4th inning, score remains 3-1.
That was definitely Michigan's most disappointing at-bat since the beginning of the game, but probably, hopefully, won't mean much as we go on, approaching the halfway mark of this ball game here in Ann Arbor on this chilly spring day. One is to hope that once the weather gets warmer, we'll start to see some more exciting play, some more great ball games.
We might have a ball game here in the March Madness. Xavier's been ice cold of late. They had a 20-point lead. Since then, it's now just been 8 points. Only 134 left, but we got another brick right there. They're trying to blow this game, just like Michigan. Heading into the top of the 5th, Allen comes out once again, staying on the mound. Still no movement in the Wolverine pen.
You have to think that maybe by the end of this inning, you'll start to wonder about potentially pulling him out, letting the relievers do their work, especially as we have a long doubleheader ahead of us.
Yeah, but alternatively, I see what you're saying, but you also want to leave room. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And when you have potentially 18, or they're talking the second game might only be 7 innings, so you might only have 16 innings in this ball game. You still want to save the relief pitchers. You don't want to just frivolously waste them when Allen is pitching so well since the first. We'll keep you updated on that. On a day like today, a warm-up is necessary in its most literal sense of the word. So we will almost guarantee to see any pitchers coming in. They'll be in the pen, getting loose and staying warm. Already seeing some movement in Bradley's pen on the first base line. Van Tuthel comes on up here in the 5th. This is his second at bat, as he's the 9 hitter. It'll bring up leadoff up next. Fouls it off. Going to make the count 1-1 now. Junior shortstop. Looking good. Leg lift in the throw. This is high fly ball, drifting foul, carried by the wind right into the parking lot. Missed a car. But it's a dangerous place to park on game days.
Want us to wonder if maybe it'd be smarter to park at Carsler and then walk over to the stadium?
Honestly, extra 2 minutes of walking in the cold might be worth it for the insurance claim. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Here's the pitch. It's going to be low for ball 2. Evens up the count at 2-2. The wind is beginning to pick up hard, coming from right to left, it appears. Here's the pitch, and this one's blasted down the third base line, and that'll be a home run. Wow. Question on whether it was fair or foul. It kept rising and rising. Mantuthel cracks open this game, brings it within 1. 2-1.
And the wind is definitely making it very unenviable to be a fielder here, especially as your odds of catching anything drop significantly.
So 2-3 now, with Michigan still ahead, but their lead cut in half as the top of the lineup comes up with no outs. Here's the pitch, and that's going to be a ball. Second earned run given up on the day by Allen. We'll keep an eye out as the wind continues to blow. Chopped foul for Vogel, leadoff hitter. He's had some success this game. 2 hits on the day, 2 for 2. He had a double and a single. In the double, he eventually scored, being one of the 2 runs for the Braves. Leg lift in the throw. Right down the pipe, a little bit inside, but a called strike. 1-2 on the count. Looking in, leaning back and throwing it. It's going to be fouled into the backstop. Vogel staying alive. 1-2 count. Appreciate everyone spending their afternoon with us on WCBN Sports, the student radio station here at Michigan. Here's it in a little bit of a check swing, and that's sent into play, and that will be an out. Caught by the second baseman, Burden, without moving very much at all.
Yeah, that catch didn't look like he had to do a lot of work to make that. It was hit pretty much right into his line of sight.
That'll be 1 out for the leadoff hitter as Chatterton comes up to the plate. Chatterton 0 for 2 on the day. Reached on an error in the first and a ground out in the third. Wasting no time, rocks back, throws it in. And that will be another strike, so 0-1 count. Fouled back into the backstop, quickly behind 0-2. Barely able to make contact. Wind up and the pitch. That skips its way on into the catcher. Ball 1. 1-2 count with one out here for Chatterton. Leg lift and the throw. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. He's out of there. Third strikeout of the day for Allen. Bringing up the second out in this embattled top of the fifth. Two outs now as the third hitter. Pete Hansen comes into the box. Again, wasting no time, rocks back and finds the inside bottom corner of the zone. Strike 1. Leg lift, contact, dribbler to short, scoops it up as Jeffress, throws it to Van Remortel, and that'll do it here from the top of the fifth. 1 hit, 1 run, no runners left on base, and no errors. We're halfway through this ball game. Michigan leading by only 1 run now, and the heat is back on.
A lot of baseball to play, and really it could go many different ways.
Sending us to the bottom of the fifth right now. Michigan able to get runs in the first 3 frames, unable to match it in the fourth. And scoring update again for March Madness. Xavier leading 82-73. This is all but over with 34 seconds left. Would take a Michigan level collapse for them to blow this one. Again, Michigan women's basketball playing tonight, potentially the last game of their season. They have their work cut out for them as they look for their 3rd trip to the Sweet 16 in 3 years. It's going to be later today down from Baton Rouge. 6th seed Michigan Wolverines facing off against the 3rd seeded Lady Tigers for LSU. That'll be on ESPN at 7:30 this evening. Winner of that goes to Greenville, South Carolina for the Sweet 16.
March is always such a fascinating time in sports. You know, MLB season's around the corner. NBA heating up, NHL heating up, March Madness, lots of college athletics going on. It's for anybody who's into European soccer season in full swing. It's a great time to be into sports because pretty much something on TV every day, maybe even every hour if you look hard enough.
Yeah, ESPN sure loves it too. Ted Burden in to lead off this 5th inning. 0 for 2 on the day. He was in the 3rd. He had a ground out in the 1st. He had a fly out. So he's making contact, just can't find any real estate. You're saying he did not go on that 2nd pitch, so it'll be ball 1, even up the count at 1-1. Leg lift in the throw, inside, ball 2. Lutz is still on the mound, over 70 or 60 pitches. A lot of movement in the pen. I feel like if there's any issues, won't be a leash. Leg lift and a throw. Ooh, and we see a repeat of what we saw earlier where it's fouled and hits him right in the chest this time. He goes down hard. Those sting badly. And we got the trainers out of the dugout quickly. Already back on his feet, but you could tell that took the wind out of him at the very least. It's the base coaches come on out too. That's real rough. Not much you could do. 2 balls and 2 strikes as Burden is hunched over in between the mound and the plate with 2 trainers and 2 bench coaches looking over him. And he'll shake it off and get back in the box, it looks like. Tough play, getting a round of applause from the limited attendance on this cold winter day. Guess technically, is it spring yet? First day of spring's Monday, Tuesday?
Yeah, I believe so.
So it still technically is winter, but just barely. Feels like winter. Oh, my goodness, you could hear that from up here. Right off his elbow guard, he'll take first. So after shaking off a foul ball, he'll take first with a hit by pitch. Burden reaches base successfully for the first time today.
One has to wonder whether baseball is one of the few sports where the region of the country plays a big factor with regards to the temperature. Because if you look at some of the recent World Series winners, a lot of them have come from down south or out west where you get a lot warmer weather. So
that's a great point. I didn't even really consider that, but you think about it. You see the Rays had that big run a couple years back. The Dodgers able to complete it after a couple of misses.
The Astros
consistently great. I definitely do think it's a bit of an advantage. See, the Red Sox is a bit of a counter example. They won a couple times over the past decade.
My Yankees
can't get much closer than that. Yankees haven't won in a little bit, but yeah, it's pretty cold up there too. Yankees coming off their first decade since I think the 1920s where they did not appear in a World Series.
Yeah, unfortunately that is correct.
They won one right before the start of the 2010s, but unable to even appear in the 2010s. Which, you know, when that's the standard of success for your program, it's a very high praise. 27 rings. And Longo makes contact, same exact spot as before, but not quite as much pop, and that'll be a fly out to left. Longo with the solo shot down the left field line in the third. Flies out for the first out here in the 5th. Bringing up Flores with 1 runner on and 1 out.
An out for a man who has generally played a very consistent and strong ball game today, having been key in some of Michigan's big plays.
One out, 1 runner on first. He's stealing. Great jump. It'll be close. Looks like he got in there. Yes, he did. Burden for his second complete successful stolen base. Prior to that attempt, he had 2 stolen bases attempts on the season, and it was caught once and successful the other time. So make that 2 successful stolen bases on the season. Flores rocking back. 0-1 count. Here's the pitch. Liner down the first base line and right through the wickets for the first baseman. That'll bring in a run. Michigan scores. And I have a feeling they'll rule that an error on number 41, O'Brien. Tipped off his glove. Can't imagine they don't. But regardless, it will be an RBI for Flores. As Michigan returns their lead to 2 runs now. 4-2 against Bradley. Still no ruling on that. They're saying it's a single, so it will be a hit. Very generous to both the fielder and the hitter on that one. In my book, if it touches a fielder's glove, it should probably be an error, and that one did ricochet off O'Brien's mitt. 1-1 count here for Velazquez with 1 out and 1 runner on. Flores, only 1 stolen base attempt on the season, and he was successful. Not taking much of a lead at all. Only a step or 2 from first. Here's the pitch. This one is lined exactly where he hit it in the 2nd inning. That'll be another single and sending Flores to third. Runners on the corners. And Velazquez, the two-way player, now has 2 hits on this game. Voigt up in the batter's box, 2 for 2 on the day. Michigan already with 8 hits, and here comes the manager. I was just about to say I'm surprised the manager hasn't made the call just yet. And this will almost certainly be it from Travis Lutz, assuming this is it. He'd finished the outing with 4.1 innings pitched, 8 hits surrendered, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. Not the outing you want from your starting pitcher to begin a doubleheader.
Yeah, I got to say he'll be hoping to forget that one and hoping to come back even stronger.
And that'll do it. Final from Greensboro, North Carolina, 84 Xavier, 73 Pitt, sending Pitt home and advancing Xavier into the Sweet 16 for men's basketball. We'll keep you updated on other games happening around the country. Everyone loves this first week in March for the tournament.
You can hear the strains of Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes. That riff is probably the most well-known sporting song in the world at this point. Played at nearly every sporting event.
It's pretty good. Jack White, a big fan of Michigan baseball. They previously had a player named Jack White, too, and that was his song. And look at that. No change. Lutz will stay on in. As Voigt comes up and gets a called strike, 0-1 count with 1 out and runners on the corner.
You got to wonder what the point of keeping Lutz in at this point is.
I think with the doubleheader, they are very reluctant to burn through a reliever so early. If you burn through one now, then that's probably 3 or 4 relievers you go through in this game. You don't want to be calling to the pin so soon. We got a high pitch. It'll be ball 1, 1-2, with 1 out and runners on the corners. Here in the bottom of the 5th. Leg lift in the throw. Contact made. Put foul right into the parking lot. Just barely avoids an automobile right there. Park at your own risk in that lot. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out for Voigt. 2 for 2 on the day with 2 singles and an RBI. Both singles were to the exact same spot. Bloop hits into left field. So we get a ball that gets away from the catcher, but no movement on the base path. 2-2. Back on the mound, getting composed is Lutz. Leg lift in the throw. It's going to be low and outside for ball 3, making the count full. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Full count here for Voigt. Third baseman trying to keep his hit streak alive. Has 2 hits already in this game. Likely to see movement on the pitch from the first base runner. Fouled off back. Velazquez will have to return to first. Staying alive is Voigt. Velazquez yet to record a stolen base this season. He had that earlier in this game. He advanced on the wild pitch, but not credited as a stolen base. And this is it. Change up in there. Pop fly into right. Tagging up on third is Flores. It'll be close, but he's safe. Staying on first is Velazquez. And that'll give Michigan their 2nd run of this inning and 5th of the afternoon.
Michigan with a good 3-run lead. And as the end of the game approaches, you got to wonder, maybe they're going to look at bringing Allen off. It's possible, but
yeah, I'm still not seeing much movement in the Michigan pen.
Yeah, we don't see anyone warming up.
So I imagine they'll stick with Allen, especially with more of a cushion now too. But we will keep an eye and we'll update all of our listeners on that. Van Remortel steps on in. First pitch is low for ball one. Van Remortel with a sac bunt that did not count as an at-bat and a fly out to left, so 0 for 1 on the day. Second pitch is a called strike, low and away. 1-1 count with 2 outs and a runner on first. Michigan already 2 runs in this inning. Swing and a miss and a quick throw down. That's awfully close. He will be safe. Unable to wrangle it in for O'Brien, the first baseman. He had him sleeping pretty much, but just unable to make the tag soon enough. Brings up 1 ball and 2 strikes with 2 outs here. Van Remortel makes contact right to the second baseman. Not even a movement from Pete Hansen. And that'll do it from the 5th. 2 runs, 2 hits, no errors, and 1 runner left on base. Michigan adding a cushion heading into the top of the 6th inning. 5-2, Wolverines lead the Braves.
Relatively quick-moving game. You know, we're only about an hour and a half in, and we've got 3 innings left. Odds are we're going to be out of here by 3:20, 3:30, and ready to roll into the second half of this doubleheader.
So we'll keep you updated on that second half. As of now, no word about a cancellation. I imagine they're going to try and squeeze it in. The last I heard is that second game will be a 7-inning game. Keep you updated on whether that is actually the case. But as of now, that is what it is sounding like. Game 2 is scheduled to start 35 minutes after the completion of this first game. So depending on how soon and quick this is, it might be an early start. Tentatively slated for 4, but I imagine it might be a little bit later than that. Depending on when this first one wraps on up, and especially with any potential pitching changes that are bound to happen in the later innings of this one. Skies are sunny despite the temperature being frigid. 36 degrees in Ann Arbor. Not too many clouds. Compare that to Friday. That's what made Friday real bad, is it was just incredibly cloud covered. The sun barely peeked through. Felt like it was going to break out into snow any moment then. It did started flurrying quite a bit, but not enough to delay the game. So we head into the top of the 6th inning. Bradley Delgado, the DH, will lead off this one. 1 at bat with a walk and a strikeout looking. Pitch is outside for ball 1. Wind is continuing to blow from right field to left. Could see it moving from the flags on Alumni Field. This one is blasted down right field line, going back to the track, getting under it, making the catch is Velazquez. That looked like it might have been gone. If it weren't for the wind, I think it would have. Again, wind is blowing from right field in. So keeping that ball in this stadium might have given a break to the Wolverines on that one. 1 out as O'Brien steps on up. Had the single in the 4th and a fly out in the 1st. Makes contact instantly. A towering hit. Shortstop calls off the third baseman. Jeffress makes a grab, and we got 2 quick outs here in the top of the 6th.
Once again, Bradley displays difficulty with staying at the plate for long periods of time, which, if you're a Bradley fan, is not what you want to see.
Certainly not.
You would love to see just a period of consistent, sustained hitting, which Michigan has managed a couple of those, but in general it's been pretty back and forth.
Little bit of delay getting this pitch on the way. O'Brien finally steps in with 2 outs now. looking to make something happen. Here's the pitch, and it'll be close, and gets through the glove of the left fielder Flores. That'll be a stand-up double as it rolls to the track. He was kind of lunging at it, unable to commit to the dive, but not there standing up, and it got right by him. And I believe they'll rule that as a hit. Yeah, they'll call it a double. Usually when they dive or make an attempt at a lunge, they usually don't call an error on that. But I think if he better routed that read, he probably could have made the third out and ended up this inning.
Really one of the few moments of disappointing fielding for Michigan so far. We haven't had too many, but that lapse was not great to see if you're a Wolverines fan.
Yeah, not at all. Giving some life. This is what we saw on Friday, just giving life to the opponent. Unforced, unnecessary.
Seems to be a common trend with Michigan athletics this year, when you consider the basketball team's penchant for late collapses.
Yes. I think everyone in Ann Arbor is on to football season now. Hockey season's still going on, too, if you're a hockey fan, and got baseball and softball, too. But football's been the golden goose this school year.
And I think a lot of people are already moving on to the next Detroit Lions season for the many Lions
Yeah,
fans
they
who
actually
also
look
Wolverines
pretty
fans.
optimistic for once. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs for Hussman. This contact made a bloop into shallow left, and that'll be a hit. They're sending him home, gunning it. It's going to be close. He's safe. Barely got in there. Awfully close.
Yep.
Rounding second and third is Harris, and he'll score to bring it back within 2.
And yet again, that should have been a pretty clear catch and out, and that's back-to-back plays with unforced errors, which is worrying to say the least, with this team's penchant for giving up runs late in the game and letting their opponents back into it, as they seem to have done so now.
Exactly. He advanced on second on that botched play by Flores, and then scored by that bloop single also to Flores. As Adam Bryan steps on up, 0 for 2 on the day. Fly out to center and a pop out to shortstop will be his lineup. 2 outs, 1 ball. And I believe he called time right before the pitch, so that won't count. Still 1-0 count with 2 outs here in the top of the 6th. 1 run already scored this frame. Trying to make it 2 with a runner on first base. Bryan back in the box, the lefty. Winds up, and here's the pitch. Right up the middle, diving for it. Will he be able to throw to first? No, he won't. So despite a great stop from rolling it into the outfield, Burden unable to get it out, and we have a little bit of a 2-out rally building with the, I guess, 3 hits now in a row. And this might be the last inning we see of Allen. Here's the windup and the throw right down the pipe. That'll be called a ball being low. Mantuthel up. Last at bat was a home run. If he could continue that, it would give Bradley their first lead since the first inning. That's a called strike on the outside corner. 1-1 count with 2 outs here in the top of the 6th. Runners are on first and second with 2 outs now. Michigan infielders at normal depth. Dribbler up the middle. Picking it up and throwing to first is Allen. That'll do it from the top of the 6th. 1 run, 3 hits, no errors, and 2 runners left on base as we return to the bottom of the 6th, and Michigan has some scoring of their own to do and show that they are regaining their lead. We just get an announcement from the PA. address system that Game 2 will begin approximately 35 minutes after the conclusion of Game 1. I don't believe they're going to be charging second tickets for this one. I think you could just stay where you're at if you're in the stadium. I'm sure they'll be happy just getting you in the stands on a game like this and eating the food and concessions. See some fans with some popcorn and pretzels, making me awfully hungry. Got some nachos as well, too. Michigan Athletics always has great food. Kim is going to lead off for the Wolverines. The freshman center fielder batting .526 this season.
Once again, hasn't been on the plate a lot today, but when he's been on the plate, it's always been a treat to watch.
Yeah, only 19 at-bats this season. 10 hits, however, in that time. We do finally see the pitching change for Bradley. We got Jacob Norris coming on in. So, able to make it through 5 full innings for Lutz. Only 3, potentially 4 innings of relief, depending on who has the lead going into the middle of the 9th. So we go into the bottom of the 6th with no outs now, and we get the 9-hitter, freshman looking great this season, stepping in, looking to get something going and add some more cushion to Michigan's 5-3 lead. Jonathan Kim, the center fielder, coming on in. Again, incredible average this season on a limited amount of at-bats. .526. Guess when it's so low, if you just get hot, it gets highly inflated. Leg lift in the throw. That'll be a called strike high and inside. 0-1 count to lead off for Kim. Appreciate everyone spending their afternoon with WCBN Sports. Low ball. Going to skip away. 1-1 count. Leg lift in the throw. That's going to be a called strike again. Bat has not left Kim's shoulder yet this at bat. 1-2 count. Kim deeply in the hole right now. Chops it up the middle. Pitcher scoops it up. It'll be close, but he guns it to first. Out number 1. Looked like it might cut through, and props to Norris for getting himself turned around and able to get the glove down, compose himself, set up the throw, and do it without an error. So we get 1 out. Here is the top of the second inning, top of the bottom of the 6th inning. Sorry, 1 out.
Kim with not too many flashes today, but still good enough to keep his very high average.
Jeffries, the leadoff hitter, stepping in. 0 for 2 on the day with a walk and a run. Had a fly out to both left and center since then. Here's the throw, and that one is going to be a ball, evening the count at 1-1. Outside, it looked awfully close from up here, but doesn't get the nod. Here's the pitch. That's going to be ball 2. Checking his swing is Jeffress, looking to get another walk after the one in the first inning to lead off this game. Leg lift in the throw. High, but a called strike. Finally gets the zone. Evens it up 2-2 with 1 out now. Ooh, and he's drilled. And he'll be taking first base. You could hear that from up here as well. Second hit by pitch of the game for Bradley. Different pitchers, but he trots on over to first, takes his shin guard off. Took the wind out of him.
Want us to wonder, maybe it's down to their pitching style. Maybe there's a bit too much aggression in those pitches.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough when you're coming out, limited warm-up, come onto the mound.
It would probably want us to assume it would only get worse in the second game of this doubleheader as the players get more and more exhausted.
Oh, certainly. Sotres up at the plate. The right-hander 0 for 3 with fly out, ground out, and a strikeout. Looking to finally break the mold. 3 home runs on the season with 13 hits. First ball is fouled. Jeffress has 5 stolen bases, yet to be caught. Don't know if he'll be running on this after being shaken up by the hit by pitch. Inside for ball 1.
From us here who can observe his body language, he looks to be visibly shrinking. He looked to visibly shrink at the side of that ball, which is understandable coming off a hit by pitch.
So 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Runner on first base. Leg lift throw, and this one's fouled. Bloop hit to shallow right. Chasing under a drifting foul, and it'll be a foul ball. Unable to get under it. The wind picked that one up too. Kept it in play. But a bit of an odd situation. The second baseman ran all the way over. When you could argue that both the right fielder and first baseman were probably better positioned for that. 1 ball, 2 strikes now with 1 out for Sotres, looking to get his first hit of the game. One ball, 2 strikes, 1 out. Here's the pitch. Going to be a called strike 3 and a gun down to first. Safe at first, but it'll send Sotres to the dugout for the 4th time today. Yet to reach base so far for the number 2 hitter. Bringing up 2 outs now with a runner on first and Burden up to the plate. Burden has something in common with Jeffress. Both have been hit by a pitch already this game.
Maybe not what you would want to have in common with your teammate, but
yeah, reaching base is reaching base. Looks the same in OBP. Guess a extra base hit is better than a hit by pitch, but a single, a walk, and a hit by pitch all look the same. So you get ball 1 in with 2 outs now in the bottom of the 6th. Runner on first. Next pitch is in. Called strike, 1-1. Burden has a ground out and a fly out. So just like his teammate Sotres, several different ways of getting out so far.
The Wolverines have lacked consistency at their at-bats, but when they sparkle, they shine. And we've seen that in several plays in this game, all of our run-scoring plays.
That is quite succinct. I like that as we have a swing and a miss. Strike 2 with 2 outs. Burden 1 pitch away from bringing up the top of the 7th inning. Going to have to make something happen soon. Michigan softball team down in Lexington this weekend. Probably loving the better weather there. And we have a base runner moving. He'll be in and safe. Bit of a holdup. Pitches in high and away for a ball, and running on the pitch is Burden, and he'll get his 6th stolen base of the season, removing the force as he gets into scoring position on second base. Three balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Here's the pitch. Ball 4 well outside. He'll take his base. Burden keeping this game alive. Oh, I guess that was only ball 3. The scoreboard was incorrect. So now it's a full count. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs for Burton. Looking to keep this inning alive with a runner on second base. Wind up in the pitch, right up the middle, hit. First hit of the game for Burton. Rounding third and coming home is Jeffress. He'll be in at home with a stand-up run. RBI 2-out single for Burton. Gives Michigan a 3-run cushion once again 6-3.
Joe Longo steps up to the plate. Arguably Michigan's best player offensively today.
I don't even think it's that arguable. 2 for 3, including a home run and 2 RBIs. So what you want to see from your 4-hitter, your cleanup hitter. Absolute blast in the 3rd inning over the big brick wall and left. Runner on first is Burden. 4 stolen base attempts, only caught once. Doubt we'll be seeing him move, but who knows? Take the force off second base potentially. Pitch 1 is in for a ball. And he's moving. Swing and a miss. Going to be close at second. He'll be out. Well, had him by a half step. And that'll do it for the 3rd. Or what am I saying? From the 6th. We have 1 run, 1 hit, no errors, and I guess no runners left on base after being picked off on the stolen base attempt. So his stolen base percentage goes down to 60% after that one, down from 75. We'll give Longo another chance in the 7th inning to come up to the plate since it was a base runner out to close out that one. Are my eyes deceiving me? Are we seeing another inning of Allen? Sure looks like it.
Interesting decision, but I can understand wanting to ration out your relievers and save some for the doubleheader.
Yeah, and he's doing fine. Only 3 runs through 6. Obviously, you'd prefer to have no runs through 6, but it when your offense is bringing 6 runs, a run support averaging 1 run an inning, it leaves you some leeway. And we finally do have a guy warming up in the pen for Michigan. We'll keep an eye on that, whether he ends up coming in. It is number 48, Renard, in the pen. Michigan's go-to reliever, leader on the team, the senior. He's usually Michigan's first call from the pen. We'll see if he comes in at all this inning or if they try to give Allen 7 full. I think a lot depends on his performance.
Renard is another man who has not had an issue with striking out batters, but he has had a bit of an issue with keeping the runs low.
First pitch, and it's a chopper down the third base line, scooping it up and throws it, and that'll be out number 1. 1 pitch, 1 out for Vogel, the leadoff hitter. Had 2 hits prior in this game, but he'll go quickly to the dugout. Again, we appreciate everyone spending their afternoon with us here in Ann Arbor over the airwaves and online. 1 out for Chatterton, the number 2 hitter. He's 0 for 3 with an error, a ground out, and a strikeout. So I guess he did reach base on the error, but still 0 for 3. Pitch 1 is in for a ball. 1-0 count. Taking his time is Allen. Only 3 strikeouts through 6 1/3 innings. So not particularly efficient in that regard, but he's keeping his pitch count low. He's still under 100, which surrendering 3 runs and 7 hits and making it all the way to the 7th is quite impressive. Pitch is in for strike 2, looking right down the pipe. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out. And this one's low. Going to be ball 2, evening up at 2-2. The blue comes out to clean off the plate and realize it's not necessary. Fully AstroTurf field. Even the home plate circle and the pitching mound is completely AstroTurf. You don't see that too often, but I guess days like this where it's so cold, it makes sense. Grass would probably be dead. Just looking at the grass field over at Ferry Field, it's honestly a dirt patch at this moment. Kentucky, Kansas just tipped off for basketball as we got a full count here. Leg lift and a throw. That's going to be ball 4. Gets away from the catcher, but doesn't matter. Speedy trot down to first for Chatterton, looking for 2, but he stays on first ultimately. Cal McGinnis in, pinch hit for Hansen. Number 5, the sophomore infielder. Wonder if it's a full substitution or just a pitch hit. Wonder what instigated that change. Maybe just trying to get a spark. You're down 3 late in this game. If you sit on your team too long, you'll get behind quickly. So we got 1 out and 1 runner on. Michigan at double play depth. Here's the pitch, and that's going to be a ball. 1-1 count. Just barely low and away. No nod from the home plate umpire, Corey Higoa. Same exact spot, same exact result. Ball 2 right there. Two balls, 1 strike, and 1 out. Not much movement on first base for the runner. Swing and a miss for strike 2. Evens up the count. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 1 out. Chatterton staying very close to the bag. Yet to see a stolen base attempt from Bradley this game. Keeping it close. Ball is in. Full count now. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. He's running on the pitch, I'd imagine. It's fouled on off. Guess with only 1 out, you might not run on the pitch. Risk a strikeout, throw him out, double play. Fouls it off, so it'll remain full. The payoff pitch coming your way. Leaning back, leg lift in the throw. This one is tipped. Foul once again into the Michigan bullpen. So staying alive is McGinnis, the pinch hitter, sophomore. He bats left but throws right. And here's the pitch, and that'll be ball 4, just barely low. Has to work for it, but Cal McGinnis takes a base, puts 2 runners on with 1 out here. Delgado steps on in, and this might be it from Allen. See Coach Smith coming out. And yes, it will be. We got this called to the bullpen. Kid who has been warming up all inning, Noah Renard. I think he gave him a leash of maybe 3 batters. If you could get through all 3, you'll get the full inning. If not, you'll get pulled after the 3rd. And that's what we see, especially as Delgado comes on up, the designated hitter. And that'll be it. So let's take a look at Allen's day. Pulling up the pitching stats. Finishes with 6 1/3 innings. 7 hits surrendered. 3 runs, all 3 of them earned. 3 walks and 3 strikeouts. So I'd say a pretty solid outing for him. He's positioned to earn a win, assuming Michigan could hold their lead. But he's on the hook for potentially 2 more earned runs with both base runners on first and second. Renard has his work cut out for him. I think ideally Michigan would like to see Renard finish up this inning and potentially go 1 or even 2 more. Renard excels in these long relief situations. Potentially, it's within 3. He could earn a save. Only 1 save this season from Renard. 2-0 record and 17 2/3 innings pitched. A save, it just has to be in the final 3 innings with it within 3 runs. So this would qualify here in the top of the 7th with the score 6-3.
And with regards to Allen, maybe 3 runs isn't exactly what you want to see, but it's not awful. And also, big credit to him for having the endurance to pitch through 6.5 innings in the cold. And,
yeah.
And as
it was definitely a solid outing. I don't know. I'm not a big sabermetrics guy. They got like the quality outing stat. I don't know if it would quite qualify, but he did what he needed to do against this Bradley team to put the Wolverines in good position to take home Game 2 of this weekend series.
What do you think that Michigan needs to do to close out this game with a win?
That is a great question. First of all, a lot comes down to the relief from Renard. Renard's been the solidest guy in the rotation, or in the bullpen rather. So we have Delgado coming up for a called strike 1. So he's the most solid arm they could go with, but the relief hasn't been as solid beyond him. So need it to be good from Renard and good from whoever they bring in. As we get a slight chopper, goes foul, and they'll let it roll. Strike 2, as that ball dribbles foul. He would have been safe if they would have picked it up fair. So wise move by the catcher. So that's the key, I think. Don't let the relief get away from you. But also keep the foot on the gas. As of now, averaging 1 run an inning. Keep that going. Let's put up 9. Put up 8 on Friday, and that was handedly sufficient to secure the win, finishing the game 8-4. So we get a foul ball down the first base line, keeping Delgado alive in this one in the top of the 7th, 1 out and 2 on. Any square base qualifies. Michigan still at double play depth. And it's right up the middle. Looks like the double play depth might have hurt him. Rounding third and coming home is Chatterton, and he will score. And that brings it back within 2. And that run is going on Allen, as runners stay on first and second with still 1 out, but just 1 more run on the scoreboard. So Allen's credited with that 4th earned run. Hurts his outing a little bit. Still in position for the win, assuming Michigan could get out of this jam and keep the lead.
Kentucky is taking the lead against Kansas State early on in that game.
Here's the pitch. And that's going to be a ball a little bit inside, it looks like. 2-0 count for O'Brien. O'Brien with a strikeout looking, a walk, and a fly out to right. In this one, here's the windup and the pitch. Swing and some contact, drifting foul. Looks like the wind will carry it into Michigan's pen. Wind has died down a little bit, but still blowing from right to left. And that pitch, potentially in still air, could have been just a foul or fair ball, barely squeezing down the baseline. 2 balls, 1 strike, and 1 out. And we get a bloop fly. Getting under it is the right fielder, same exact position that happened earlier. And wow, Michigan, incredible heads-up play. Getting a free out there from McGinnis, and that'll do it. So we had the fly out. McGinnis was looking to tag up, realized it wasn't deep enough. And Renard cuts it off without McGinnis realizing and applies the tag to get the 3rd out this inning. That is one incredible heads-up play for the Wolverines. And they get out of that 7th inning, only surrendering 1 and keeping their 2-run lead. Heading into the 7th inning stretch, leading 6-4.
And it's just an awesome example of team synergy, the way that play all came together, with the players seeming to know each other's exact positions and movements. It's just great use of timing, example of great coaching, and just what you want to see as the Wolverines fight to hold on to their somewhat solid 2-run lead as we approach the end of this ball game.
2 runs is not what you want to see, but I guess 3 straight innings now. It was a 2-run lead, and Michigan built on it, looking to do that again. Largest lead of this game was 3, and it's been that at several moments. Finishing up the 7th inning stretch here at Fisher Stadium. People are sitting down. They're not really in the mood to get out from underneath the blanket.
You hear the strains of Mr. Brightside, a staple of every Michigan sporting event.
Certainly.
One hopes that Michigan's bats haven't lost enough steam and they can continue their streak of adding a run in each inning. I think it's possible. I think they're still looking pretty sharp, but it remains to be seen. Just a bit of baseball left until we move on to the second game of this doubleheader.
Longo comes on up. Reminder that he came up last inning too, but after the caught stolen base from Burton, it gives him a clean slate. So he comes up with a 0-0 count. Lead off with 1 ball right there, 1-0. So wind up, and that's a called strike. 1-1 count for Longo. Reminder, he's 2 for 3 on the day with a single, a home run, and a fly out. But he has 2 RBIs on both hits. Deep inside pitch, and he barely moves out of the way to avoid the hit. 2 balls, 1 strike now for Longo, and he's quickly in a advantageous count. Pitch low and inside, but it's a called strike. 2-2. Norris back on the mound. He has 1 full inning. And we have a ball in there, so it'll make it full. Stepping out for a moment is Longo. Gets back in. On the rubber, leg lift and the throw. That'll be strike 3. Wow. Grazes the outside bottom corner. He threw his bat as if that was a walk. And the umpire was having none of that. Rung him up instantly. 1 out as Tito Flores comes to the plate.
The frustration is visible as Longo sulks back to the dugout, and that's understandable.
We have a pitch in, and that'll be a ball for Flores. Flores 1 for 2 with a fielder's choice, a walk, and a single. That's going to be a called strike. So he has reached base every at-bat, every plate appearance, I rather say. And he did get a run and an RBI in the 5th. So he hit someone in with a single and eventually was advanced home. He makes contact, puts it deep into left center. Towering, getting under it is Vogel, and he'll make the grab for the 2nd out. Again, the wind might have been a factor in keeping that in. Velazquez comes on up. 2 for 3, having a pretty standout day, including a run. Both of his hits were singles in almost an identical spot and situation. Just a frozen rope over the first baseman. So he comes out with 2 outs now. Pitches in for a called strike. 0-1 count. That next one's a bit low. Going to be ball 1. 1-1 now. Velazquez eager to get his bat off his shoulder. Leg lift in the throw. Checks his swing, but it's a called strike. 1-2. That's the pitch he's probably wishing he could have back. 89 miles per hour. You make contact with that. That's over the right field fence. Leg lift in the throw. Fouls it into the backstop. Going to stay alive. Count remains 1-2. Leg lift and the throw. Chopper up the middle. Another single for Velazquez. 3 hits on the day. And he's keeping a 2-out rally alive. As Voigt comes up to the bat or plate. Voigt's 2 for 2 quietly. He has 2 singles and 2 RBIs. And in that 3rd plate appearance, he had a fly out, but it brought in a run. So it counts as a sac fly and doesn't go against his batting average. So he had an RBI on that one and a single in the 2nd. looking to keep this 2-out rally going and give Michigan more run support as they lead 6-4 in the bottom of the 7th. I don't know why, but another pickoff attempt for Velazquez. There's that Pace going to be pinch running, so that makes more sense when they get a pinch runner in. A chance to steal. 4 stolen base attempts from Pace, and all 4 were successful. Makes contact, towering one to shallow right. Catcher or second baseman gets underneath it. Ultimately called off by the right fielder. And that'll do it from the 3rd. Or that'll do it from the 7th. 3rd out. And we have a score of 6-4 with no runs for the first time since the 4th inning for Michigan. Did get a 2-out hit and 1 runner left on base with the pinch runner Pace. A little bit of Sweet Caroline, reminiscent of Fenway Park. Probably pretty similar weather to Fenway Park right about now. Not everywhere could be in spring training in beautiful Florida or Arizona. Michigan with quite a bit of travel early in the season. Playing a tournament in Scottsdale, Arizona to open off the campaign. Then they went to the Shriners College Classic in Houston, following a road trip across California, playing both in Northern and Southern, facing off against some really great programs, UC Irvine, UC Fullerton, UCLA. Fullerton, Michigan played a series against last year, welcomed them to Ann Arbor. They always have one late season out-of-conference opponent here at Fisher. Last year it was Cal State Fullerton. This year it's Oklahoma State. That'll be an exciting series on the 28th, 29th, and 30th. Busy weekend here in Ann Arbor. That will be graduation as well. Hopefully the weather's much nicer than it is now as Easton Harris steps in against Renard coming out for his 2nd inning. Pitches in low for a ball. Here in the top of the 8th. Second pitch made contact, fouled back for strike 1.
Yet another ball on its way into the parking lot.
1-1 count right now for Harris. Harris has been pretty quiet until his most recent at-bat. Got a big double and eventually sent home with 2 outs, too. Diving Flores, unable to wrangle it in. And he made the most of that and got a run. 2-1 count. Going to be another inside pitch. 3-1. Leg lift and the throw. Called strike right down the middle. You know, it's easy to keep the bat glued to your shoulder when it's 3-1, but that's the pitch you wanted to swing at. 84 right down the middle. No movement. Here's the pitch. Payoff pitch. Going to be ball 4. Leadoff walk. Still no movement in the pen, so it looks like Coach Smith is going to be sticking with Renard for at least a foreseeable future. Hoping to get a full inning, maybe even give him the complete save. And just as I say that, Coach Smith comes on out, so I may stand corrected.
Solid inning from Renard as a closer. Didn't do much wrong.
Yeah, I would be shocked if they pull him so soon, though.
Especially with another game, like, right after this.
Yeah, I guess they might want to save him for later if needed. It's a little bit closer than it was when he came in, with it being still a 2-run game instead of a 3-run game. But you gave him 2/3 of an inning previously. Yeah, no change going to be made. Just chatting with him. Hussman comes on up for the Braves. A single and an RBI in the 6th. Brought in Easton, who stands on first base now. Here's a pitch. They're going to say if he went, check on down. He did not. So that'll be ball 1. Checked his swing. 1 ball, no strikes, no outs. Runner on first. Fouled off. Going to be a 1-1 count. Wind up and the pitch. Low for ball 2. 2-1. Renard, he looked great last inning, finding the zone, getting it under control. Not so much so far in the 8th. Leg lift in the throw, made some contact into the lot. That had some velocity to it, just aiming the wrong way. Wind is dying down, bringing the temperature up a little bit, but still a frigid day here in Washtenaw County. Here's a pitch and another booming fly ball into foul territory. Will it stay in play? It will not. Right onto the grandstand in a rush of half a dozen little leaguers diving for it, and one of them grabs it and is very excited. Number 3, Martinez.
That's his day, mate.
Yeah. Always fun when you could grab a... Oh, and look at that. He gives it to another kid. Stand-up guy. 2-2 count. Another foul ball. 3rd straight foul ball. This goes into the parking lot.
That's a bit of wholesomeness for your frigid Sunday afternoon.
It's a lot of fun. Yes, it is. They have packages so little league teams could come in here for heavily discounted or even free, and especially when it's warmer, it's always nice to see that. Finally makes contact, looking to turn 2, shortstop to second to first. That'll do it. 2 straight outs. Carson Hussman with the 6-4-3 double play, and that cleans the bases and puts 2 outs onto the docket.
I guess another example of the commentator's jinx, just as we were saying that Renard had not had a great start to his inning, he goes ahead with 2 strikeouts.
So getting 2 outs right there, able to potentially get out of the inning right now without any run damage and preserving the 2-run lead. Adam Bryan steps on in. He got a single in the 6th, ultimately stranded. And he has a bloop right to the pitcher, and this will do it. Underhand toss from Renard to Van Remortel, and that is it from the top of the 8th. Rocky start, but quickly makes work of it. And we're potentially 6 outs away from Michigan taking home the first game of this doubleheader on this frigid but sunny Sunday afternoon.
And with it, a series clincher. And with that would be a series clincher.
It would be a series clincher. You're right about that. And not only that, it would put Michigan back at 500 on the season, which is really impressive considering the slate they had to open it. We talked about the West Coast road trip and the Texas road trip. Those teams are legit. Those teams in Texas that they played, it was TCU, Texas Tech, and Louisville. Those are 3 of the top programs in collegiate baseball. Throw in, I guess, UCLA and UC Irvine. Those are great programs on the road, especially. UAB and Kennesaw State, another fun road trip.
To update you on our song watch, there's Born to Run, reminiscent of my home state, New Jersey, which is probably enjoying similar weather at the moment.
Yeah, they're probably pretty happy after their March Madness run. Princeton going to the Sweet 16. When does Fairleigh Dickinson, are they playing today?
I'm not 100% sure.
I believe so, and they'd be looking to be the first 16 seed to make it into the Sweet 16. That would be very sweet for them. Van Remortel steps on in the bottom of the 8th, looking to provide some run support. We got 8-9-1 coming up. Van Remortel, Kim, and then Jeffress.
FDU is indeed playing today against Florida Atlantic, a 9 seed.
probably their best possible choice. This might be the lowest combined seeds we've seen in NCAA history. First pitch is in and high for ball one for Van Roemortel. He has a sack bunt, a fly out, and a line out. So he has a swing and a miss right there, evening up 1 apiece, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Enjoying a decent start to his season with a batting .263 with a homer and 5 RBI.
Leg lift in the throw. This one is popped high, and it's going to drift well out of play onto the Michigan, I guess like the fitness building. Sun is shining, but it doesn't make it much warmer. Leg lift and the throw. Fouled off, this time behind the backstop and well out of play. Staying alive with a 1-2 count and no outs here. Stepping out for a moment. Pops back in, taps the plate. Gets set, pitcher is the leg lift, and here's the throw. And that'll be strike 3. Norris coming in for relief. 3 strikeouts and only 1 earned run surrendered. Last pitch at 89. Jonathan Kim comes in with 1 out. Batting exactly 500 now. Came down from earlier this game. He was batting as high as 550. He had a second inning single followed by a strikeout and a ground out. Called strike right there. 0-1 count with 1 out for the 9-hitter. Freshman has a lot of promise both defensively and at the plate so far. Question is, can he keep it up, especially as a grueling season goes on? That one's barely outside for ball 1. Wouldn't have been surprised if that got in the nod. It looked awfully close. Umpire talking to the manager for Bradley, asking how that missed. And it was awfully close, but you got to stick with your guns there. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. No runners on here in the bottom of the 8th. Swing and a miss, strike 2. Michigan leads 6-4. Trying to maintain this lead. Leg lift in the throw. Fouled on off, and Kim will live to face another pitch. One ball, 2 strikes, and 1 out. Takes a moment to step on out for the left-hander. Here's the pitch. That's going to be strike 3. That was almost further outside than that second pitch that was ruled a ball. Maybe a makeup pitch from before, but regardless, it sends Kim back to the dugout, and 2 quick outs for the Wolverines as they trying to get any last runs on before the potentially final half inning. Appreciate everyone spending their afternoon, and remember, stay tuned to WCBN later in this afternoon. We have game 2 of this doubleheader. It's at the moment looking to be only 7 innings. Pitch in for Jeffress. It's a ball. And second pitch has made contact and sent foul down into the third base parking lot. No cars there at the moment. Busy on hockey game days, but not days like this. So 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs now for Jeffress. Looking to make something happen and give a cushion. Slings it to the second baseman, takes a crow hop, flips it over to first. McGinnis over to O'Brien. And that'll do it for Michigan's offense, at least for now, potentially for the rest of the game. As we go into the top of the 9th, Bradley needs at least 2 runs to have a chance at winning this game. And Renard's at least going to start this inning, looking to complete the long save, get his second save of the season if he's able to pull it off, heading into the top of the 9th inning.
You have to think that Renard would probably finish this game at this point. We're in a little too late.
I agree with that. I think, honestly, Coach Smith is going to live or die with him. I think it's either keep him in, see if he could complete the 3-inning save, or if not, the game's blown at that point. So either stick with him or lose this ball game. And he's the guy you want. 2-0 record, has a save, solid ERA on the season. 19.1 innings pitched. Only 7 earned runs surrendered over those 19. So 3.26 ERA on the season and exactly 1 whip. One more warm-up pitch before the 9-hitter, Manteuthel, comes on up. Just because he's a 9-hitter, don't overlook him. He has a home run this game in the 5th inning. A complete towering shot. It was practically rising as it crossed the fence. Manteuthel, shortstop, stepping in, looking to bring this game and give a spark of life to Bradley in game 1 of this doubleheader. Makes contact on the first one, fouls it, strike 1. Steps on out, gets composed. He knows what's at stake here. Leg lift and the throw. And this one is fouled off, but it looked good. Had a lot of pop underneath it, but just carried too far, foul down the first base line. And that'll quickly bring up an 0-2 count. 0 balls, 2 strikes, no outs. And that'll be strike 3 looking. First strikeout of the game for Manteuthel. Bringing up 1 out, and Renard is just 2 outs away from the long save.
Great set of innings pitched from him. You have to wonder if maybe they might want to rest him for the next game, but at the same time,
no, you'll keep him in at this point. I think he's probably done. He's only at 26 pitches, so that leaves him available for Tuesday for the midweek game. But give him the save and get this win in the books if you can. Vogel steps up, the leadoff hitter. 2 for 4 on the day with a double, a single, and then a pop out and a ground out. 1-1 count. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out for the leadoff hitter. Leg lift and the throw. Called strike, barely finds the outside corner. 1 more strike away from getting down to potentially the final out of this game. Looks like some car alarm went off. I think he may have hit something. And that's going to be low, not getting the nod from the home plate umpire, Corey Higoa. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and that alarm is still barking. You might be able to hear it on our natural microphone. And that's the joys of having a parking lot so close to the field of play. Leg lift and the throw. Fouls it, or hits it into play barely down the first base line. He's rounding, going to 2. He'll be in safe with the double with 1 out now. So we have the tying run coming to the plate with Chatterton. Not going to be an easy finish to this game for Renard. Chatterton has had a solid day. He's had an error, a ground out, a strikeout, and a walk, eventually advancing home on that walk. So he's 1 run on the day, despite being 0 for 3. Here's the pitch from Renard. Cuts at it, into left, getting under it, makes a fly out, and thinking of advancing but holding up is Vogel at second. We had a heads-up play earlier with McGinnis to close out. Was that 2 innings ago, I believe, in the 6th, where fly out and caught him on the potential tag-up opportunity. But regardless, that brings up a quick second out, and we have Connor Manthe coming on in, pinch hitting.
Now into the final inning, and
This could be the final batter, and the fans are getting loud, especially the youngsters. Wind up in the pitch. That's going to be a little bit outside for ball one.
The Braves do have a runner in scoring position, which is important to keep in mind. As
well, one swing of the bat could tie this up. Doesn't take much. Here's the throw. Swing and a miss. Strike one. 1 ball, 1 strike, and 2 outs with the runner on second. You could hear the excitement quite literally from the crowd.
And we have to thank the young Little League team here today for the excitement that they've brought.
Certainly. Looking back, wind up throws. That's going to be a bit inside. 2-1 count. Despite Michigan leading by 2 runs, the hits are pretty even. We got 10 hits for Michigan, 9 for Bradley, and both teams have 7 left on base. I guess Michigan just made the most of not only their other ways to advance, hit by pitch, walks, all that. Swing and a miss, strike 2. And we're down to potentially the final pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Getting loud here. Wind is starting to pick up too, as if it knows the game's about to end. Wind up in the pitch. Checks the swing, rings him up looking. Strike 3, and that'll do it. Final here from Game 1 in Ann Arbor. 6-4, Wolverines win. We have a second game coming your way shortly. The win will be credited with Allen going 6 1/3. Or pardon me, yeah, 6 1/3, and then 2 2 2/3 innings by Renard for the long save. That's his second save, and Allen advances to 2-2 on the season. Lutz, with a loss, he falls to 1-1. Quick game, only 2 hours and 31 minutes, quicker than Friday. I guess there was a limited amount of pitching changes, which sped things up. Michigan finishes with 10 hits, 1 error committed, and 7 runners left on base. Compare that with Bradley, 9 hits, no errors, and 8 runners left on base. Game 2 is going to begin in approximately 35 minutes. Stay tuned to WCBN for that one. Should be a fun series cap as Michigan looks for their first sweep of the season. Currently at 500 right now. With this win, they advance to 9-9. Bradley Braves, on the other hand, fall to 5-9 on this season. Any final thoughts on this game?
Well, after initially a bit of a rough patch to start the season, want us to wonder if the Michigan Wolverines are finally kicking into overdrive. You know, great performance today. Maybe pitching could have given up a fewer runs, but like you said, that doesn't really matter when you have the run support of being able to score a run essentially every inning for a hot streak. And could we use some more consistency when we're at bat? Sure, but I think we're all just satisfied that the team has shown that it has potential to score, the team that has shown that it has the potential to make big plays, and I think we're all excited to see what the season has to offer as we roll into some bigger games with conference opponents.
I completely agree. But with that, that'll do it for Game 1 of this doubleheader. Game 2 coming your way in approximately half an hour. 7-inning game. Stay tuned to WCBN. I'll be on the call with Owen Klein. Should be a good one. But with that, we'll leave you with a good afternoon and go blue.